My beloved brothers and sisters, there is something truly special about the moments after Fajr. The world is quiet, the heart is calm, and your soul is closest to its purpose. These early hours are not ordinary. They are filled with blessings that many people sleep through. When you honor this time, you will feel a type of barakah that surprises you in ways you never imagined. Let me remind you of a beautiful reality. Your morning determines your day, and your day determines your life. If you win your morning, you win everything that comes after it. So what should you do after Fajr? Sit for a moment and make dhikr, not rushed, not distracted, just you and your Creator. Say Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. Let your heart wake up before your body does. Read a portion of Quran, even a few verses. The Quran in the morning has a light that carries you throughout your day. Some people read a page, others read a juz. What matters is consistency. Make a sincere dua. This is a time when worries are lifted, hopes are strengthened, and doors open. Ask for ease, guidance, forgiveness, and barakah in your time. Reflect for a moment. Think about your purpose, your blessings, and your goals. A mindful morning leads to a meaningful day. Plan your day. Write your priorities. People who don't plan become victims of distraction, but those who plan become leaders of their own time. Practice gratitude. Say, "Oh Allah, thank you for another day." A grateful heart attracts blessings, an ungrateful one repels them. Give a small act of charity, even if it's a smile, a message of encouragement, or a coin. Charity in the morning protects you throughout the day. Engage in some physical movement. A short walk, stretching, or exercise. A strong body helps a strong soul. Stay away from sin, negativity, and harmful distractions. Your morning is too precious to waste on gossip, endless scrolling, or anything that darkens the heart. My brothers and sisters, if you do these 9 things, even a few of them consistently, the barakah will amaze you. Your mind becomes clearer, your heart more peaceful, your day more productive, and your connection with Allah so much stronger. Remember, success doesn't begin with money, status, or recognition. It begins with how you start your morning. And the best start is the one that begins with Fajr. May Allah bless your mornings and fill your days with light, peace, and endless barakah. Fajr sets the tone for the entire day because it is more than just a prayer. It is a moment in which your entire being is realigned with purpose. When a person rises before the world wakes up, they make a powerful statement to themselves and to their Creator that guidance matters, that discipline matters, and that life is too precious to be lived on autopilot. Fajr is the spiritual reset button that clears the clutter from yesterday and prepares the heart for whatever awaits today. It is the moment when you step out of your sleep and step into clarity, reminding yourself that no matter how chaotic life becomes, you can always begin again with a clean slate. When you wake up at Fajr, you push yourself against the comfort of sleep, and that sacrifice alone trains the heart. You start your day with obedience rather than convenience. You start with light instead of distraction. A person who wakes at dawn embraces a unique form of discipline that influences every other decision. Once you overcome the hardest battle of getting out of bed for the sake of something greater than yourself, you find it easier to overcome other challenges. You learn to rise above laziness, above excuses, above the pull of your desires. This is why the early morning has a power that cannot be replicated at any other time. It shapes your character quietly day after day until you become a person who leads their time instead of being led by it. Consider how most people begin their day, rushing, stressed, checking messages, worrying, or barely awake before being pulled into responsibilities. But the one who begins with Fajr starts with stillness, presence, and connection. When the first words you utter are words of prayer and the first action you perform is an act of worship, your heart becomes anchored before the storms of the day arrive. You enter your tasks not from emptiness but from sufficiency. You respond to difficulties not from anxiety but from calm. Even when challenges come, you face them with a mindset that has already been strengthened at dawn. The truth is that Fajr is not only about prayer, it is about protecting your inner world. It is the moment to pause before the noise, to breathe before the rush, to remember who you are before the world tells you who to be. When you wake for Fajr, you begin your day with intentionality rather than reaction. You take control of your morning instead of letting the morning control you. That sense of intentionality reflects in the way you speak, the way you work, the way you think, and even the way you deal with people. A person who has nourished their soul early carries a softness and strength that others can sense. Fajr also brings a type of spiritual clarity. After sleep, the mind is refreshed and the heart is receptive. The burdens of the previous day feel lighter and the worries of tomorrow have not yet arrived. In those moments, your prayers become more sincere, your thoughts more reflective, and your connection with Allah more natural. Many people find that ideas flow more easily, decisions become clearer, and inspiration becomes stronger in the early morning. This is not an accident. The world is quiet, distractions are few, and the spiritual atmosphere is filled with tranquility. When you begin your day with such clarity, your priorities fall into place with greater ease. Time after Fajr also carries a barakah that is difficult to describe but easy to feel. Days that begin with Fajr often feel longer, more productive and more fulfilling. You get more done with less effort because your mind is not clouded and your heart is not heavy. You move through the day with a sense of purpose, and even when things don't go your way, you find it easier to accept, adapt and continue. That is the unseen blessing of beginning the day with obedience and remembrance. You feel supported in ways you may not always be able to explain. On a practical level, waking up for Fajr also establishes a healthy routine. Your sleep becomes more balanced, your mornings more meaningful, and your days more structured. Instead of waking up late and feeling behind before you even start, you wake early and feel ahead. This creates a psychological momentum that affects productivity, mood, and even relationships. People who start with Fajr often feel emotionally lighter and spiritually uplifted throughout the day. They carry an inner peace that shields them from negativity and helps them respond with patience rather than irritation. Fajr is also a reminder that success begins in private before it becomes visible in public. What you do when no one sees you shapes who you become when everyone sees you. If you discipline yourself in the quiet hours of dawn, you will find it easier to discipline yourself in the noise of daily life. If you connect with Allah when the world sleeps, you will feel His presence when the world overwhelms you. If you start your day with sincerity, you will find sincerity guiding your steps even in difficult moments. Ultimately, Fajr sets the tone because it aligns your heart before your schedule, your faith before your tasks, and your purpose before your plans. It teaches you that the best version of you begins when you rise with conviction, humility, and gratitude. And when you start your day that way, the rest of the day becomes a continuation of that light. The early hours of the morning carry a unique kind of blessing that cannot be replicated at any other time of the day. When we say these hours are filled with divine blessings, it's not simply a poetic expression. It is a spiritual truth felt by anyone who chooses to experience it consistently. The world at dawn is different. The noise of life hasn't started yet, the distractions are asleep, and the heart is more awake than ever. In those quiet moments after Fajr, a person has access to a type of barakah that most people miss simply because they are not present to receive it. There is something deeply symbolic about the early morning. It represents purity, renewal, and possibility. Just as the sky begins to brighten, your soul also begins to brighten. These early moments are a gift, an opportunity to plant seeds that will grow throughout your day. What you do in this time multiplies in value, just like planting in fertile soil. This is why people who use their mornings wisely often heave more spiritually, emotionally, and even physically. It's not because they are more talented or more fortunate, it's because they are working with a time that Allah has already filled with ease and blessing. The barakah of the early hours can be felt in simple, surprising ways. You might notice that tasks take less time, your mind clears faster, your decisions feel more guided, your heart feels more steady. Even when challenges arise later in the day, you find yourself more patient and more resilient. This is the effect of starting your day in the company of peace rather than chaos. A heart that begins with tranquility becomes harder to disturb, and a mind that begins with clarity becomes harder to confuse. Many people wonder why those who wake early, especially for worship, often seem more productive, even if they sleep fewer hours. The answer lies in the unseen blessings that come from honoring the early morning. Time stretches for them in ways that others cannot understand. An hour feels like two. A task that usually feels heavy becomes light. The morning carries a softness, a gentleness, a freedom from inner noise that helps a person move with intention rather than panic. And intention is what brings meaning to your actions, allowing every effort to be worth more The early hours are also the perfect time for spiritual connection. After waking from sleep, the heart is more receptive, the mind more open, and the soul more humble. When you sit with your Lord in these moments through prayer, reflection, or remembrance, the impact is deeper. Your dua feels more sincere, your gratitude feels more genuine, your repentance becomes more emotional. It is as if the lack of worldly noise allows your inner voice to rise to the surface, allowing you to speak to your Creator with a clarity that you rarely feel during the busy hours of the day. There is also a psychological power in using the early morning well. When you achieve something meaningful before many people have even opened their eyes, you start your day with victory. This small accomplishment creates momentum. You walk into the rest of your day with confidence and purpose. Even if the day becomes difficult, you remind yourself that you started it right. You grounded yourself in worship, presence, and discipline, and that grounding stays with you like an anchor in a storm. In these early hours, distraction is at its minimum. The phone is not buzzing. Messages are not pouring in. People are not pulling you in different directions. The world gives you space, silence, and stillness. And stillness is one of the greatest gifts for a believer. Stillness allows you to hear your own thoughts, recognize your own emotions, and understand your own needs. Stillness brings clarity to confusion. It makes you more conscious of your intentions, your choices, and your direction. When you begin a day with such awareness, barakah naturally enters your time because you are living your day rather than being dragged through it. Another blessing of the early morning is that it strengthens discipline, and discipline multiplies blessings in every area of life. When you train yourself to wake early for something meaningful, you begin to develop consistency. You learn to follow through on your commitments. You learn that your spiritual health matters. This type of discipline spills into other parts of your day and your life. You become more punctual, more focused, more mindful of how you spend your hours. And when you respect time, time respects you in return. The early morning is also a reminder that success in this life and the next is often found in the quiet, unseen moments. People may celebrate public achievements, but Allah rewards private dedication. The world may only see your results, but Allah sees your effort waking early to remember Him, to seek His guidance, to honor His commands. These are acts done away from the eyes of people, but witnessed by the one who controls your destiny. And what is done sincerely for Him always comes back with blessings in unexpected forms. Ultimately, the barakah of the early hours is not simply about productivity or discipline. It is about alignment. It is about aligning your heart with its Creator before you align your body with the world. It is about aligning your intentions before you align your schedule. It is about starting your day with spiritual nourishment so that life's challenges do not starve your soul. When you give the early morning to Allah, He gives the rest of the day back to you with ease, clarity, and blessing. And this is a type of barakah that truly surprises, not because it is small, but because it is so beautifully abundant. Small, consistent acts after Fajr bring long-term transformation, because true change is never built in sudden bursts of inspiration. It is built quietly, gradually, and patiently through actions that may appear small on the surface, but hold tremendous spiritual weight. When you commit to doing even one or two small practices consistently after Fajr, you are shaping your identity day by day. You are rewriting habits, strengthening discipline, and creating a rhythm of life that revolves around purpose rather than impulse. Many people try to transform their lives through big dramatic changes, but they often burn out. Real transformation happens when you choose consistent. Why over intensity? And the early morning is the best time to cultivate that. After Fajr, your mind is fresh and your heart is soft. You have just come out of prayer and the world is still quiet. These moments are ideal for establishing small spiritual routines that anchor your day. For example, reading a few verses of the Quran may take only a few minutes, but when done every day, it becomes a source of light that penetrates your entire life. Making a short dua may seem simple, but over time, it strengthens your relationship with Allah, increases your reliance on Him, and softens your heart. Reciting morning adhkar may feel repetitive, but they shield your soul in ways you may not immediately notice. These small acts are like drops of water. Each one seems insignificant, but together they can fill an ocean. One of the beautiful things about small, consistent actions is that they are sustainable. Anyone can do them. They do not require long hours, great energy, or special circumstances. You can perform them whether your day is full or empty, whether you feel inspired or exhausted. This stability is what makes them powerful. When you stick to them, even on difficult mornings, you are training yourself to maintain your faith and discipline regardless of how you feel. You are proving to yourself that your connection with Allah is not dependent on mood or convenience, but on commitment. And commitment is the foundation of every meaningful transformation. These small acts also create a domino effect. When you start your morning with discipline, you naturally develop discipline in other parts of your life. When you begin with remembrance, you carry remembrance throughout your day. When you begin with peace, you respond to challenges more calmly. The momentum you build, through small acts, after Fajr spills over into your work, your relationships, your mindset, and even your emotional well-being. What starts as a spiritual routine becomes a life routine, shaping the way you think, act, and react. It's important to understand that consistency builds identity. If you read Quran every morning, even for 5 minutes, you eventually become someone who cannot begin their day without it. If you reflect after Fajr for a few moments, you become a person who lives with awareness and intention. If you offer gratitude each morning, you become a person whose heart naturally seeks the positive and acknowledges blessings. These behaviors become part of who you are. People often say they want to become better Muslims, better individuals, better versions of themselves, and this is the path. Not through sudden leaps, but through steady, daily steps. There is also a profound spiritual psychology behind consistent small acts. When you repeat something daily, it implants itself into your subconscious. It influences your thoughts without you realizing it. It shapes your emotions quietly. It strengthens your relationship with Allah with little effort. And it gradually moves you away from harmful habits and toward beneficial ones. Over time, this reprogramming changes your priorities, your attachments, and even your understanding of success. The things that once felt heavy become natural. And the things that once felt natural, like wasting time, neglect, or laziness, become uncomfortable. Even the angels witness these small acts done at dawn. These actions carry a special purity because they are performed at a time when most people are still asleep. They are done in sincerity, away from the eyes of the world, and sincerity increases the reward and impact. You may not feel the change immediately, but with every morning that you show up, your heart becomes a little stronger. Your connection with Allah becomes a little deeper. Your life becomes a little more guided. The transformation is slow, but it is real. People often underestimate what small actions can do because they expect transformation to be visible immediately. But think of how nature works. Seeds are small, yet they hold the potential for entire trees. Drops are small, yet they gather to form rivers. Moments are small, yet they shape memories and destinies. In the same way, small acts after Fajr hold the potential to change your life. They may seem insignificant today, but in a month, in a year, or even in a decade, you will look back and realize that these little rituals were the stepping stones toward a better version of yourself. Ultimately, the real power of small, consistent acts comes from the fact that they align you with the rhythm of faith and the rhythm of life. They ground you in remembrance, discipline, and purpose. They teach you patience and perseverance. They shield your heart from hardness and remind you daily of what truly matters. And in doing so, they transform you quietly, beautifully, and permanently, until the person you become is a reflection of the choices you made every morning after Fajr. Spiritual actions open the heart, while disciplined habits open the day. Because a human being is made of two realities that must work together: the heart that seeks meaning and the body that moves through the world. When these two are in harmony, life feels balanced, purposeful, and peaceful. After Fajr, when the soul is most receptive, you have a special opportunity to nourish both sides of yourself, the spiritual and the practical, and this combination changes the entire direction of your day. When you begin the morning by feeding the heart with remembrance, reflection, and connection with your Creator, the heart softens and expands. When you then follow that with structured habits, planning, and conscious action, your day gains direction and strength. Together, these two qualities shape a person who moves through life with focus, clarity, and inner peace. The heart opens through spiritual actions. Because the early morning is a time when the soul is calm and naturally inclined towards sincerity. You have just risen from sleep, your mind is cleared of yesterday's noise, and your heart is more honest with itself. When you remember Allah in these moments, whether by quiet dhikr, Quran recitation, or heartfelt dua, you awaken your spirit before you awaken your body. The spiritual awakening creates a softness inside you. A softness that makes you more patient, more grateful, more aware of your blessings, and less attached to negativity. The heart becomes lighter, ready to receive goodness, ready to forgive, ready to trust, and ready to hope. When the heart is open, the rest of your day becomes easier to navigate, because a closed heart makes even small tasks feel heavy, but an open heart gives you strength to face even the difficult ones. When you start with spiritual nourishment, you begin your day from a place of abundance rather than emptiness. Many people wake up already feeling drained, overwhelmed, or anxious because their hearts are disconnected. But those who begin with remembrance carry a sense of peace that surrounds them throughout the day. Their reactions are calmer, their thoughts more stable, and their emotions more grounded. They are less affected by the behavior of others, less shaken by unexpected events, and less tempted by distractions. The heart that begins with Allah is harder to break, harder to deceive, and harder to darken. But while spiritual actions open the heart, they must be paired with disciplined habits to open the day. Without discipline, the energy you gain in the morning can be wasted. Without structure, even a peaceful heart can drift into procrastination, confusion, or unnecessary chaos. Discipline brings order, focus, and direction. It tells your day where to go instead of allowing your day to control you. When you plan your tasks, prioritize what matters, and set intentional goals after Fajr, you are shaping your day before it shapes you. This habit prevents you from falling into reaction mode, where you simply respond to whatever comes your way. Instead, it places you in intentional mode, where your choices, actions, and time are guided by purpose. There is wisdom in combining spirituality with discipline. Spiritual actions soften the heart, and disciplined habits sharpen the mind. One gives you emotional balance. The other gives you practical strength. One connects you with meaning, the other connects you with responsibility. When these two forces meet, they create a powerful sense of alignment. You become someone who moves through the day with both clarity and compassion, focus and faith, purpose and peace. Your heart is alive and your mind is organized, a combination that leads to a successful and fulfilling life. Consider a person who begins with dhikr and Quran, but then falls into disordered habits. Their heart might feel nourished, but their day becomes stressful because they lack structure. On the other hand, consider someone who structures their day meticulously, but begins without spiritual grounding. They may be efficient, but often feel restless, empty, or overwhelmed. The ideal state, the one Islam encourages, is to merge the two, begin with the heart and continue with discipline. When you nurture the heart first, your discipline becomes purposeful rather than robotic. You don't just work to achieve, you work with intention. You don't just plan tasks, you plan with values. When your heart is connected to Allah, the discipline that follows is driven by sincerity rather than ego. Your day becomes not just productive, but meaningful. You find barakah in time, barakah in effort, and barakah in results. Another profound effect is that spiritual actions give you the inner strength to maintain discipline. Many people struggle with consistency, not because they lack knowledge of what to do, but because their hearts are burdened. When the heart is heavy, the body becomes lazy. When the heart is distracted, discipline disappears. But when the heart is awake, it fuels the willpower needed for good habits. The softness created by remembrance actually strengthens your ability to stay committed, focused, and organized. This is a balance that only faith can produce, gentleness that leads to strength, and spirituality that leads to discipline. Likewise, disciplined habits protect the spiritual state you cultivated in the morning. When your day is orderly, you don't lose the serenity you gained after Fajr. You don't fall into frustration, anger, or stress because you have direction. Discipline guards your peace just as spirituality aids it. When you combine spiritual actions and disciplined habits after Fajr, your heart opens and your day opens. You move with light inside and clarity outside. You feel guided, strengthened, and supported. And over time, this combination transforms your character, your mindset, your productivity, and your relationship with Allah.